My name is Deep Wong, the new voice of this channel. Prepare to stay dangerous and learn how to acquire the necessary evils to navigate the world. This is Didi. Didi was the darling tech company of China. It's basically China's version of Uber, and it was hailed as the company that drove Uber and the evil Americans out of China. Didi was a symbol of Chinese pride and innovation, and back in 2020, Didi was doing even better than before. Didi was a favorite of the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, and with that favoritism came some nice preferential treatment. Money was rolling in and they were planning on expanding globally. Everything was going better than they ever dreamed of. But on the turn of a dime, everything changed.
爸，
你好。
Somewhere, somehow, the CCP's opinion of Didi changed, and within the space of a few months, the company's revenue and future crashed straight into the ground. They started hemorrhaging money, and their apps were banned in China, and no matter how much the Didi executives pleaded and begged, the CCP kept tightening the noose around them. And in just 1 year, Didi lost over $60 billion. That's 80% of what the entire company was worth. It had to fire thousands of employees, cut back on its expansion plans, but nothing worked. What happened to Didi was a painful lesson. In China, no matter how rich, no matter how successful, no matter how powerful you may think you are as a businessman, you are still the CCP's female dog. You still have to answer to their every beck and call. And when they're done with you, all your success, all your hard work will go down the drain because the same hand that feeds you will gladly let you starve. My name is Deep Wong, the new voice of this channel. Prepare to stay dangerous and learn how to acquire the necessary evils to navigate the world. Any successful entrepreneur knows that starting a company takes skill. You have to know selling, marketing, operations leadership, and much more. And you used to have to pay a lot of money for university to learn this stuff. Or you had to search the internet for unreliable sources. Enter Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where you can explore your passions with thousands of different courses. The people who make the most money in the world are the ones with the best skills. And with Skillshare, you can learn all those skills on demand. No matter what subjects you want to learn, you can find them. There are just so many valuable and interesting courses on there. Like YouTube Success Script Shoot and Edit by the giant tech YouTuber Marcus Brownlee. Or E-commerce for Creative, sell your artwork with an online store, which is another really cool one. I recommend by starting with Productivity Masterclass by YouTuber Abdulli Abdal. It would give you extremely useful advice to boost your productivity permanently, so you can tackle all your goals. There are a ton of experts on Skillshare constantly putting out new fascinating courses. And you'll never be interrupted by ads or have any interruptions while you learn. Plus, the entire catalog is now available in subtitles in Japanese, French, German, and Portuguese. And the first 1,000 people to pause the link and click the link below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So pause the video, click the link below to start your creative journey on Skillshare today. Thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. After 8 years for working for Alibaba, Chinese entrepreneur Zhang Wei decided to start Didi in 2012. The business started out as a simple app that let users request rideshares and taxis through privately owned cars. And just like Uber, it became a massive success. It was a simple, cost-effective app that anybody could use. Pretty soon, Didi was growing faster than any of its executives could have ever imagined. Investors jumped to get in at such a promising business. And Zhang Wei, Didi's founder, had some pretty ambitious ideas for its future. First on his list was getting rid of the competition on his home turf, which included Uber. To do that, Didi would need to get as many users on its app as possible. It would need to steal as many as Uber's clients as possible. And hopefully Uber would realize that fighting to stay in China was not worth it at all. And it led to a price war. For months, Uber and Didi was at a discount deadlock. Both apps were offering insane discounts on trips in hopes of attracting more customers. But in the end, Didi came out on top. Didi raised billions of dollars in investments from companies like Apple, Alibaba, and Tencent. But the real game changer was a $2 billion investment from the CCP. This came from China's Investment Corporation, aka China's Sovereign Wealth Fund. $2 billion. Imagine going up against a competitor and your government giving you $2 billion to outspend them. Your competitor would not stand a chance. You would simply run their bank account into the ground, wipe them out, and be left with a monopoly. And that is exactly what Didi did to Uber in China. Didi beat Uber not because Didi's business model was inherently better than Uber's. They didn't beat Uber based on merit, no. Didi beat Uber because the CCP wanted them to. The CCP gave Didi a monopoly and made all their dreams come true. Uber admitted defeat mid-2016, and Didi bought them out for $1 billion. And Didi proceeded to become the hottest tech company on the block. Everybody wanted in on the billions that it was so obviously going to make. But what goes up fast will fall down even faster. For Didi executives, dominating China's e-hailing industry was not enough. They started getting greedy. High on his local success, they wanted to expand across the whole world to start giving Uber a real run for its money. Its users loved all the app's extra services, like ordering rideshares instead of regular taxis or privately driven vehicles. Didi obviously had a real chance on taking over the international market. And with the Chinese government offering its full support, what could possibly go wrong? The only problem Didi had with global expansion was money. If it was gonna start operating in Europe, the Americas, and the rest of Asia, it was gonna need some serious cash. More than Apple, Alibaba, or the government was willing to offer. And there was only one way to get that financing within the space of a few weeks. Take Didi public. By listing the company on the stock exchange, people would be able to buy stock in the company, and Didi would be able to use that money to make all of its global domination dreams come true. The best stock exchange for the job would be in America. No Asian stock market would ever allow them to raise the amount of capital needed. So, in 2021, Didi announced its plan to get listed on the New York Stock Exchange, or NYSE. Big mistake. Almost immediately, the CCP sent word to Didi executives not to go forward with their plan because of security concerns. But the Didi executives weren't having it. This is their company after all. Why should they listen to the CCP? This would be good for spreading China's legacy across the world. So foolishly, Didi pushed forward. The CCP is a notorious, hot-headed, indecisive political party. One day, one government official is telling a company to stop their operation. The next, someone else is telling them to push faster than ever before. Because of that, most Chinese tech companies prefer to act now and apologize later. Meaning they generally ignore the less serious government warnings and statements. Do what they want and hope that the CCP forgives them when the dust settles. That's how it's always worked in China, and that is exactly what Didi expected to happen with their IPO. The CCP's warning was just another example of the government's indecision in their minds. Didi would go public and make billions from selling stock. Then the CCP would have no choice but to back them and forgive all other earlier warnings. At least that was the plan. So instead of following the CCP's warning, Didi went ahead and listed its stock on the New York Stock Exchange on June 30th, 2021. In just the first few days for the IPO, Didi managed to reach $4.4 billion, bringing the company's official value up to $70 billion. That's about the size of Airbnb or Target. Didi's NYSE debut was the biggest that any Chinese company has achieved since Alibaba. And for a few short days, it looked like Didi managed to pull the IPO off without angering the CCP. Didi was set to become one of China's biggest successes yet, and then the CCP slapped Didi with a major reality check. Contrary to what Didi expected, it turned out the CCP was utterly insulted on how the company disobeyed them. Just 2 days after listing in the NYSE, the Cyberspace Administration of China, or CAC, announced an investigation on Didi on the grounds of investigating national security. No one in the company has seen it coming. Another 2 days later, and the CAC officially bans the Didi app from the China App Store and also blocks any user for signing up with the app. According to the CAC, Didi has been collecting private information on its Chinese users for years. If American companies and billionaires could buy controlling stock in the company, or request audits, or request information on the behind-the-scene operations of Didi, that would put millions of Chinese citizens in danger of being spied on, or having their information stolen by a foreign adversary. Kind of what China already probably does with TikTok. And for the CCP, that was a bridge too far. They give Didi everything, and now it was time to take it all away. No matter what, Didi tried to appease the CAC and prove that its security was airtight. They just wouldn't budge. They even scrapped their expansion plans completely. But nothing seemed to make a difference. And meanwhile, less than a week after listing on the NYSE, Didi stock prices were already down by almost 20%. Something had to be done, or it'd be the end of the company. But the only way the CCP would allow Didi to operate in China again would be to delist from the New York Stock Exchange. And doing that so soon just after IPOing was unheard of. But by December 2021, Didi's options have run out. On December 3rd, 2021, almost 6 months after going public, Didi announced its plan to delist from the New York Stock Exchange. May 23rd, vote on delisting from the New York Stock Exchange, while simultaneously listing its stock on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Didi hoped that Hong Kong would be close enough to home to stop the CCP from breathing down their necks. But nothing seemed to be enough for the CCP. By then, Didi has lost nearly $60 billion in just 11 months, equal to 80% of the company's entire worth. The company was practically destroyed. And to make matters worse, even the Hong Kong listing had to be put on hold while Didi was delisting from New York. What happened to Didi was the CCP's way of teaching China's tech industry a very important lesson. You live, breathe, and succeed at the pleasure of the party. We decide if you make it, and we decide if we want to bury you. After a year of the CAC making life hell for Didi, the CAC investigators finally came up with the punishment, a $1.2 billion fine, plus small fines for both Didi executives. And that's on top of the decimation of their company's value. This time, Didi finally has gotten the memo and quickly accepted the verdict, saying it would do anything in its power to, quote, rectify its wrongdoings, end quote. And although Didi can slowly start getting back to business, it's unlikely the company will ever be as big as it once was. So what's the lesson from this? There's a few. 1. Don't let success go to your head, especially when all your success was subsidized by somebody else. Which brings us to number 2. Despise the free lunch. The CCP makes the American government look like weak little pigs. But the American government can be pretty ruthless too. For nearly a decade, starting in 2001, the CIA kidnapped hundreds of suspected Arabic suspects to question using brutal, bloodthirsty, enhanced interrogation techniques. They didn't care that a lot of the men and women they were questioning were actually innocent, or that the things that they were doing to their prisoners were completely illegal. And this practice of illegally detaining people in prisons around the world became known as the CIA's Black Site Program. And honestly, the stuff that the CIA did to their prisoners was despicable. And it's probably the most darkest, sinister subject we've covered on this channel. But obviously, a deep dive into the creative ways that the CIA found to break their prisoners would set off a million red flags and get any public video on YouTube demonetized. That's why, to share every last horrifying detail with you, we've had to release it as a full-length private documentary only for members of this channel. All you have to do to get access to this exclusive documentary right now, along with other full-length videos on topics like the roots of Middle Eastern terror, Jeffrey Epstein, MKUltra, the CIA mind control program, is click the join button below. People pay tens of thousands of dollars to attend university and leave clueless on how the world really works. But by becoming a member for only $5 a month, you'll get access to insider info. And trust me, it's way more entertaining than university lectures. But wait, for your satisfaction, there is a refund policy. So if you join and you don't think it's worth it, email us within the first month of you joining and we will personally refund you. My name is Deep Wong. If you were entertained by my voice and would love to hear more, let Jake know that you want Deep Wong to record the voiceover for his videos. And also, you can find me on Fiverr.